All right, guys. So it's Queen Kali out here. For those of y'all who know, y'all know. Um, I'm here today because it's time for episode 5, and I told y'all that I would be here every week. I missed y'all yesterday because I was taking some much needed rest after my arduous work week last week, and yeah, I needed that time. I spent that time with me and my boys. Today was a bit better for me. And so I posted a poll for you guys this morning on Facebook, and I asked if y'all wanted me to talk about sex or money as one of the next topics for the vlog. And of course, all y'all nasty motherfuckers on my Facebook page told me to talk about sex. But y'all know I told y'all in last week's episode that as a Capricorn, I'm definitely not missing a bag. So we said we was gonna talk about sex. So I am gonna talk about that. But I'm gonna talk a little bit about talk about the money too. So um, I'm just gonna use my voice because that shit is sexy, and probably be getting paid to do some voiceovers and all that good stuff in the near future. So I got a contract modeling position this year, and so that's going to extend beyond the reach of just physicality. All right, so I have told y'all that I left my husband. It wasn't him, it was me because I figured out that I was more poly um, than anything. I ain't gonna say that's something I didn't know before I got married, but we've already talked about of exactly how that occurred. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start. I just want to get these definitions out the way, and then I'll talk very briefly about what I believe my ideal situation is. So let's talk about polygamy first. And I'm just, Google's everybody's best friend, okay? For those of y'all who like to get fancy, Google Scholar works too. There's some notifications. We're gonna talk about that briefly. So polygamy, right, is the practice or custom of having more than one wife or husband at the same time. Okay. So we're not going to talk about the legalities of any of this. We are strictly talking about relationships and definitions. Okay. So anyone who is interested or who has the custom of having more than one spouse at a time is participating in polygamy. Okay. Um, Specifically, it's called polygyny if a man has more than one wife, and it is called polyandry.
Polyandry is a form of polygamy in which a woman has more than one husband. Okay. And then there is, let me see, polyamory. Okay. Um, Polyamory is basically having more than one intimate relationship, multiple intimate relationships, but it's still like a group of people that have consented to be in these relationships exclusively amongst each other, with more than one partner. And the dynamics of polyamory can be, the dynamics of polyamorous relationships can vary. Um, from, yeah, anyway, we know the variances. There's plenty of variances in the world, right? So, but there could be many variations of polyamorous relationships. And then there's this new term. Let me see. Polyfidelity, okay, is a form of non-monogamy, and intimate relationship structure in which all members are equal partners and agree to exclusively restrict um, activities with only other members of the group. So I really feel like for me that's the same almost as polyamory. Um, but I guess that is the new inclusive term. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so that's that. And I was going to speak briefly about, what my ideal relationship structure would be. So presently, um, that would look like probably two, three husbands and a wife. um, you know, women is, we a lot. We could be a lot. So, um, just one other. Like, and look, I don't be knowing how dudes be having more than one wife. Like, ooh, ain't you tired? but um, but anyway, I mean, people have these different types of relationships for all different, types of reasons. So, um, but anyway, I just, listen, I get bored. I like variety. And so, that's just that. But anyway, yeah, with all that being said, I want to make sure that we definitely get to this bag and that we don't spend too much of our time this evening because I like to keep these, around like 30, 35 minutes or so. Um, because we know how folks is in this microwave generation. But anyway, let's get it.
Can you just share your screen and pull up the cash flow quadrant so I can get through this so we can go ahead because we know we're not trying to be here all night. You did do that so that I can go ahead and get this out the way. And then we're going to talk about a few brief steps to wealth creation. And then I'm just going to go ahead and let you break down a little bit, just a tiny bit of your thoughts for the people. I'm so done already that we was bringing forth, I was going to be sharing them the ways that I pretty much make money online. So yeah, just pull up an image of the cash flow quadrant for me. It doesn't matter. Any one of them from Google will do. So most of us are familiar with. Thank you, sir. Most of us are familiar with this top left box of the cash flow quadrant. Cash flow quadrant was introduced to us by New York Times bestselling author Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote the bestseller Rich Dad Poor Dad. Um, and so he talked about in another one of his books in that series about the cash flow quadrant and, pretty much the main ways that people produce income, right? And so you either work at a job and, it could be a combination or a combination of all of these things as well, which actually it's me right now, right? So you have a job, you work at JLB just over broke, right? So, if that's your only stream of income, if that's the only leg on your financial table, you're in bad shape, especially in the times that we're living in right now, right? A lot of us have graduated. Most of the people, at least I know in my generation and even King Key's generation, coming because he's about 6 years younger than me, I think. And but like I said, already a billionaire. Like this is crazy. Um, and so most of us have graduated to a self-employed position where we have had this wonderful business idea, and we have started working on the thing that we love, on our passion, on our baby, whatever it is, whatever our contribution or gift to society it is. We started working on that, and so we now own a job because your time, you're still investing major amounts of your own personal time to produce the monetary reward that you hope to gain from that. The difference between being a self-employed individual and a business owner is when you have graduated to the right side of the money, baby, you now have other people's efforts and systems working in the place of you. So now it's no longer your time that is converting to income for you, but it is now other people's efforts, their time, their energy, their skills, and the systems that you have in place that are converting to cash for you. Okay, and the best way by far to collect capital is going to be investing. Okay, this is how real wealth is created. All of the greats, Warren Buffett, Tesla, all of them. Okay, everybody's investing. And so that's pretty much I learned about all about investing last year when I learned was introduced to Forex in February. And pretty much from there just continued not only going through that education, but adding more knowledge, adding more value to myself, teaching myself different ways to make money online, different ways to put my money to work for me, and also learning about different systems that I could put in place, right, that would work for me passively on the back end to continue to make money for me while I am working my self-employed business and my job. Okay. So there's pretty much that about the cash flow quadrant. So most of us, like I said, we have experienced the employee quadrant. A lot of us have graduated already to the self-employed quadrant. Um, we have graduated to the self-employed quadrant. Very few of us have been able to make that conversion from self-employed to being an actual business owner. Okay, and it's because we lack the knowledge and the systems. We lack the mentorship, the education, and so I'm going to talk about why I hired a business coach in a future episode. I'm going to talk about some of the different things that I've done to invest in myself, some of the courses I've taken. I have direct access to all of those courses, and they work for me. I'm sure they'll work for you. And then my money is already working for me on the back end. So a lot of you guys know what I've gone through this last year, but understand that I haven't talked about being homeless as if it was a problem, because understand that although my children and I were homeless for a good portion of this last year, we never didn't have a roof over our head. And a lot of that time we spent in hotels, Airbnbs, different places that I was still able to put a roof over our head in some way, shape, or form, even if it wasn't anywhere consistent, because of the different systems and things on the back end, the passive income and the investments that I had on the back end. I was still able to get by to a degree. And so now just want to go ahead and talk about how we're going to, and Kinky, if you want to step in at this point, you can pull up those steps I think you have in there to wealth creation. And so we're going to talk briefly about saving more money, earning more money, investing your money, and protecting your capital is pretty much the steps to wealth creation. And so, a lot of people think that because they're saving, or you might have a hefty savings. Let me tell y'all something, and I'll probably do an episode on this. I blew through 310 racks in probably about 90, it was like 90 days. It definitely wasn't no more than 180 days. It was somewhere between 3 and 6 months. That money was gone, poof. Okay. And Kinky, you with me still?
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's about to be your time to shine, because basically that's what I'm talking about, right, guys? It's saving money is not going to be the way that's going to get you there. Our parents told us to get good jobs and make sure that we save for retirement. Retirement is a dollar amount, is no longer an age. And for most people my age and Kinky's age, in order to retire comfortably, you're going to need about $2.5 million. Okay. And so if you don't have ways to invest your money, if you don't have ways to grow your money, if you don't have systems on the back end, if you're not making passive income through some sort of affiliate marketing or whatever, then it's not likely that you're going to see those numbers in your lifetime. But Kinky, I wanted to bring you in here because, you were one of the people that helped me learn exactly how to create real lasting wealth. And I wanted to briefly touch on that. We talked about the steps to wealth creation, not only saving our money, but also earning more money. And so, of course, we can briefly touch on a few ways that we do that. I've spoken about Forex. I actually don't have to trade personally anymore. I don't have to trade personally anymore because, I have access to plenty of apps that give me signals. I know how to trade if I need to, but I don't have to because I have access to apps that give me signals for what trades to place in the market. I have access to trading robots, you know what I'm saying, that will trade my capital for me. Pretty soon I'm going to be going through this funding challenge, and I'll be funded through other companies. I won't even be using my own capital to trade anymore. Um, but I just want to talk about that wealth creation process, um, King Key, and I wanted you to go ahead and just share some of the things that you share with me that we've been able to implement and the things that we've been doing with Upgrade Global Network, um, you know, to basically help our people speed up the time that they can actually reach retirement. Do you think you can touch on that for me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go at it pretty blunt. You know, the concept of retirement for me is weird because when you look in history, there was no retirement. Every man and woman had a purpose. What are you retiring from? You know, and that's where real wealth actually started. People would trade amongst each other. If we're talking about the origins of real financial literacy, because what we've been taught isn't really working, right? Real financial literacy was back in the day, go have a craft. This person used to make, vegetables, and this person used to create clothes, and people used to trade goods. And so originally, wealth was about how many assets you had. One man may have 10 camels, another person may have perfume, another person had food. And because people wanted basically access to more, the problem was that not every exchange was equal. So look, you may try to give me a tomato. I'm not going to give you my a fully grown horse, right? A full grown horse for a tomato. That doesn't work. And that's where money came along. And so people made money about a lot of different things other than accumulating assets. That's all money is for. The money from a wealth standpoint is just a lot. A lot of what? A lot of anything. If you have one apple versus 10 apples, obviously when you have 10 apples, you're wealthier than when you have one. So wealth is purely to do with attainment. Now, when it comes to retirement, that same kind of concept, um, I've heard a lot of the wealthiest people with money say, when you find what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And so the only people who retire are those who haven't really found their purpose or really what they really want to do with the rest of their lives. Even Colonel Sanders, the guy who made KFC, he did it at like 60 something, right? So step one is figure out what you want to do. The Japanese people have a concept called ikigai, and it's kind of a word that is related to the word purpose. And when you find basically what you love, what the world loves, what you need, what the world needs, what you want to be paid for, and what the world is willing to pay for, and what you're good at, and what the world admits, like, yeah, you're pretty good at that. Somewhere in the middle is what they call your lane, and that's what helps you create wealth. And when you're in your lane, if you happen to find it, some people are fortunate enough to know super early. Like Kobe at 6 knew he wanted to play basketball, right? Sometimes you have to try a bunch of things to figure out what you want to do. Like for me, I had to just put myself in different environments, and I put myself in all the environments I could long enough to know none of this stuff is for me. How did I know? Because I knew myself. So what did I have to do? I had to create a new lane. And that's a beautiful segue, actually, to go into upgrade. So I'm going to park it right there for a little bit. I answered the question in a non-linear way, meaning I answered around the question, and around that answer contained the answer. Shortest way to wealth, find what you love. Shortest way to retirement, do what you love. But most importantly, find the skill, find a way to benefit the world, and they're going to keep paying you. Because people love useful, right? And if something or someone isn't useful, then it's what? right? It's closer to useless, right? And so
Come
the
on
more
now.
useful you are to the world, the more they're willing to pay you. One of the things I understood early, even as a child, like everyone's older than me and their mind's on their money. Well, I'm gonna learn money then, because if I'm the person who can solve their money problems, I'll always be relevant. I'll never not have work. So, a lot of times I'm laughing, but I shouldn't be. Um, a lot of new entrepreneurs, they kind of come, and I hear them and I hear the passion and I get it. I hear the excitement. I've been through those phases. I'm still in those phases, but um, they come with this attitude almost as if they believe they're going to tell the markets, the people, the audiences what they should desire. And it's very strange. You don't go to the market telling the market what it wants. The market tells you what it wants, and you supply the market what it wants. Because if you don't, you're just going to be like, imagine like you had a thing for swan photography. Nothing against swan photographers, but does the world want your swan photography? No, the world wants what it wants. So what the world might want is to look beautiful that day, or to make $1 that day, or it might want to eat that day. And you can have your slice of what people are absolutely deeming as necessity. If you're always giving people what they need, you'll always have money. Now, if what you have to offer is optional, and optional in the minds of somebody else, like for example, somebody may not need lipstick, but they might need, you know, water, right? If they're in a desert, are they going to reach for lipstick or water? Maybe if you went into the water business, which is an essential, your chances of improving making sales is very high. Now you're like, well, there's so many water brands. Who would buy water? See, the thing is, people are getting tired of the old water. Now people want new water. They want new, innovative, clean, alkaline water. And that's just one example. A lot of the times, every industry gets used to the people in that industry, and then they're waiting for a new face. They're looking for something new to look up or pay attention to. That could be you. That's an avenue for wealth. And it doesn't really matter when it comes to the concept of wealth. Like, how do you actually build it? Wealth isn't that dynamic. There's only three ways to create wealth, right? You have to gather it, right? You have to literally accumulate the wealth. That's the first way. Now, the ways to accumulate, some of it could be sales, consulting, marketing, but I mean donations, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to label it, it's a form of asking people to support. Whether you pitch it as, you buy this product because I'm doing you a favor, that's called a sale, or support this work because you believe in it, that's called an ask. Or if you do this for me, I'll do this for you, that's called a deal. It's all the same stuff. Or consulting, you should do this because and pay me for my advice, right? It's all just asking people to give you money. The other way is to broker a deal. So it's to find out things that are already going to happen and just find out how they take your cut. What people don't realize is when you buy products from Walmart, Walmart obviously marked those products up. That's called a margin. They're giving it to you low enough. They're okay with having $2 here, $1 here, times 100 units, times 100,000 units. That's called brokering a deal. That's what the banks do. It's a very powerful model. And the last is investing. It's the investing model. It's my money make money model. It's buy low, sell high. I'm buying this at $2 a share, and it goes to $6. The next thing you know, I'm up four. And so you do that in Forex. How I say it is, I'm buying this at, you know, minus 20 pips, and it appreciated 100 pips, and that's an 80 pip difference, and that's my money. It doesn't matter if you're trading Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin was what, 3,000, and now it's 60,000. It's the same principle, which is it used to be worth a little, now it's worth a lot. And those basics transcend actually entire industries, meaning everything is the same. If you're selling hair, If you're doing that, if you think you're in the hair business, you think you're in the lawyer business, you think you're in the insurance business, you think you're in the network marketing business, affiliate marketing business, they're all the same. You're in the business of telling people about your business and selling stuff in your business. And actually, once you kind of get past all of the semantics of everything and you realize that everything's the same, you also realize that people are very much similar. So you also realize if it's about people anyway, then you might as well just go get the people because the people have the money anyway. Then you start getting into groups and tribes and what kind of power moves you can make together when you transcend the traditional structures. And I'm pretty much gonna draw my line right there. But how do you create wealth? Just to recap, you accumulate. Any excuse for somebody to give you money, you take it. And you have to have the discipline and not spend it. So if someone says, "Can I have $20?" You say, "Sure." But when you return it back with five more. So that you're gonna give them the 20 and they're gonna give you 25. Now your money came back with money. And that's how you create wealth.
And that's how you create wealth, folks. So I wanted to go ahead and give you guys that blueprint. Thank you, King Key, for coming to spend your time with us. I'll be back with a basics in Forex course. I'll be back with showing you guys how to get that stuff set up and, go ahead, segue if you want to be able to take advantage of some of the things that are happening. I pretty much just added value to myself. I acquired assets, and then I put systems in place that allow those things to operate on the back end for me while I go to work, while I spend time with my children, while I write books, while I get my get my wellness together. So I do all the things that I love, and some things that are necessary. And I don't spend. I don't spend. Remember, guys, you spend your money, it ends. The last three letters of the word spend is END. And that money ends for you. It starts working for the person that you spend it with. So make sure that if you are letting go of your dollars, that it's for something worthwhile. So I'll spend money on my education. I'll spend money on something that's going to make me more money. I'll spend money investing because those things it's not actually me spending money. I'm making sure that there's going to be a return on what I have put out. So that's our time, folks. King Key, if you could just go ahead and you can end that recording, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Peace, love, and light. I'll see y'all in episode 6.